there, race fans. We are back for our 7th edition of the EKN Debrief podcast. It's hard to believe. It's actually been about a month since our last one. We were trying to go weekly, but you get rolled into the racing season as we are, and it's tough when you're only home for a couple days midweek before heading back to another event. Lots of great racing has been underway. Again, this is a new podcast program, part of the EKN Radio Network that we'll be producing for the website, giving you an opportunity to download it to your phone, plug it in there to your car when you're rolling to work or coming home, out for a run, out for a walk while you're working out. Just a chance to, again, talk karting, listen to karting throughout your day while you're either working out, whatever it may be. My name's Rob Howden, of course, the editor and publisher of ekartingnews.com, and joined, as I always am, by the guy who actually makes it all happen over at ekartingnews.com, the managing director, David Cole. Dave, how are you, man?
I'm good, Rob. I'm just got back from Newcastle, excited about the upcoming weekend, personal plans here, and then follow that up with every other week going to the racetrack.
Yeah, your schedule's nice right now. It's week on, week off, week on, week off. I'm in the middle of a 4-weekend run, then I go weekend, week off. So I'd like a weekend off, to be honest. I hate not being on the track.
Hold on, you got to remember I have 2 kids and a wife, when it's a weekend home, it's not a weekend off. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any kids, so my weekends are a lot more, I think, more relaxed maybe than yours are.
Oh, for sure, because you just sit back and you watch like MotoGP and Supercross stuff.
True.
Let's see what else. You probably go to a restaurant, and make some food.
Yeah. That's a sleep in, number one, right? You do get to sleep in with kids, don't you?
Yeah, occasionally, because they love to wake up mom more than they would love to wake up dad, because they know what happens when they wake up dad.
Good for you. Lay down the line. I like to hear that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, as I said, this is our 7th episode of the EKN Debrief, part of the EKN Radio Network, which is going to be taking a lot bigger steps over the next month or two. You're going to see more stuff coming, and there'll be a component on the website as well. Stay tuned for that. I do want to say, and again state, that this particular show is being presented by our good friends at Margay Racing. I've had the pleasure of working with Keith Freeber and his staff for many, many years. They've been great supporters of what I've done through the years, when I was at Performance Racing News in Canada first, then, of course, with Supercard Illustrated, and then with ekartingnews.com. We've had a long history with Margay, and we're pleased about it. I've driven many cars, actually. Rock Island, I raced up in Canada, and just pleased to be able to work with them again. So a couple words on Margay to get things underway. Margay Racing has been a leader in the karting industry for over 50 years. From a 46-kart Ignite field at the recent Battle of the Brickyard to the top of the podium at the WK Manufacturers Cup Series at Newcastle Motorsports last weekend, Margay has every karter covered, from the grassroots beginner to the top-level national racer. The Margay Ignite program provides the perfect entry into the sport of karting and is elevating low kart counts across the Midwest. Want more races at your track or club? Call 1-800-562-7429 to get the Ignite program at your track. Once again, there's the number to call Margay, 800-562-7429. Great to have Margay with us, the presenting sponsor for today. We'll talk more about our other sponsor later on in the day here. But David Cole, let's jump right on into the news desk. That's your baby. Top news recently coming out of the down the pipe. Of course, we're starting to see dates lock and load for 2018. Superkarts USA coming out with an announcement regarding their 2018 schedule.
Yeah, we've talked about this previously in other debriefs. They're going to make their return back to Florida. So they've confirmed those 2 Florida dates again. Also with 3 Pro Tour dates similar to what we saw in 2017. It's going to happen again in 2018. Basically the same weekends that we see right now, but of course, no tracks have been confirmed other than dates. This is just dates, and then also there's 6 races that they put on for the California Pro Kart Challenge.
Good to get those dates out and get things underway, and I'm sure we'll see more events kind of slot in. I think, as everybody knows, the schedule, especially through the Midwest, if not the most, just absolutely jammed almost every weekend. But I know that we'll see things start slotting in. Hopefully people start working together. I did have a fantastic chat with Garrett Potter from Rock Cup USA just earlier this week. Looking forward to working more closely with the Rock Cup people as well. They're developing some programs, looking at where they're going to kind of grow their program. Number one, obviously out of the box, they'll have the Florida Winter Tour. The Winter Tour is a Rock Cup program. We'll see if they're able to kind of work symbiotically with Supercarts USA, with the IAME and the Rock, now that Rotax has essentially left the state in terms of the Winter Tour program. And then, David, back to the Challenge of the Americas. It'll be a different feel. It'll be a different sound on the ear when the Rockers go at it with Andy Saisman's program.
Oh, for sure. And we've talked about this before in previous episodes. It's still going to be that fun, entertaining, competitive weekends that we've known to grow and love when we go to the West Coast in the wintertime.
No doubt about it.
Andy has that passion for the sport that not a lot of people have, and we love going there, enjoying the staff, the competitors, the teams, going to the different 3 tracks that he goes to. Those 3 provide a great element for the sport. It's nice to go there.
And I always love Friday afternoon pre-qualifying practice. When we had that extended hot pit session, for me, I love when we're down on pit lane calling it, because guys are coming in, they're making changes. They get that little bit longer practice session at the end of the day at Andy's races, at the Coda races, where they can kind of dial things in on the fly. That's one of the components that he offers that I really, really like about his weekend.
Yeah, and it's kind of a relaxed atmosphere there too. Especially on that pit lane, because you get enough time to where you go out, you do maybe 5 hot laps, you come in, you make some changes, you kind of talk about it, or maybe you just kind of sit there and wait and see what everybody else is doing. It has that it's not that rush feeling that we've seen at other hot pit events. It's just what, let's figure it out. It just has that uniqueness that nothing else has right now.
That's your primary news out of the box. As we said, Supercarts USA confirming its 2018 dates for the Pro Tour and the California Pro Kart Challenge. And, of course, I went on a tangent and went Rock Cup to add to that. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah, and like you said, I'll go even further. Talking about the Midwest stuff and the Eastern Coast, there's no doubt that WK is right around the corner looking to make sure their plans for next year are going to be locked in, along with Mark Coates and the United States Pro Kart Series. It's those 2 programs are doing very well right now. We're going back to back with them at Newcastle, so we'll kind of get another comparison on how the 2 stack up. And so it's definitely a season of change, and we always see this cyclical event or cycle happen in the sport, and we're kind of just in that period right now.
Let's go from news to actually racing itself, David. As you mentioned, some back-to-back events. You were able to head down to Newcastle for the recent WK Manufacturers Cup Series event. You covered it. I'll let you quarterback the race recap here. How was it? Let's talk entries. Let's talk competition. Let's talk winners. What were your thoughts from Newcastle?
Well, entry-wise, 151 entries for the weekend, which was a pretty solid number. We haven't seen that in a while. It's an increase from Pittsburgh, which was last month in June. May. I'm sorry, I'm getting my dates mixed up there.
Dude, I get it. Trust me, I get it. They all blend together. Don't worry.
But the Yamaha programs other than Sportsman are really strong with numbers. All the IAME classes, of course, are strong. We had a little bit of an increase in the 206. Not as many locals that we wanted to see come out, and I think that's where we've talked about this before, where we struggle with the 206 traveling series programs, is people just don't want to pay that extra little bit to come out when the big show comes. They prefer to stay with their $40 entries per day and make their 20 laps a day and be happy with that. So.
Yeah, not a massive surprise at Newcastle. They have such a solid LO206 program as it is, and to draw them out to a Manufacturers Cup race when they're probably going to be racing the following weekend or the weekend after in a KRA event, it's always a bit of a draw. Tough draw, pardon me.
It's definitely a tough It's a tough situation. But, a little bit of exposure for those who got to do it. They got to see, race against some very competitive drivers and go from there. But overall, the racing throughout the weekend was really good. We obviously had the Newcastle draft coming out of the I-70 down to the checkered flag. I'm almost getting tired of it, to be honest. It happened every race. You sit back, you wait 10 laps, 15 laps, however long the race is. And you make that one move at the end of the race. I'm really getting tired of seeing it at Newcastle. I almost want to.
Where do you want to put start finish? Right before the hairpin coming into? Was that?
Well, either that or we shorten up the straightaways, or or move it back, move the start finish line back to where it was, so we at least get to see that last lap, last corner pass.
Yeah, you know what? Why not shake it up? I don't disagree with you. I like that.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. It just.
Hey, who won? Anyways.
Anyway, we had six drivers win both days in the categories. Brandon Jarzakrak did both IAME senior classes. We had Dakota Pesic pull away both days just at the end. So he's got 3 in a row now in Yamaha Senior.
Wow.
Tyler Maxon came in and waxed everybody in IAME Junior. It was very similar to what we saw last year with Tyler Gonzalez, who we've seen win at the Super Nats. We've seen win at the Pro Tour. I think we've seen him win pretty much everywhere. So Maxon is getting, now that he's been in the junior category, he's getting adjusted to it. He's under the Speed Racing Concepts banner.
Yep, okay.
A lot of knowledge there. So, and it's about maturity. You could see it with him off the track. He's kind of maturing a little bit more now that he's out of the cadet category. So it was really cool to see him. He started last and went to first in the main event. So
man,
that was a stellar drive for sure.
Good for him.
But let's see, other double winners. Ben Mayer, Nitro Kart. They continue to keep winning in the cadet categories. He got both micro wins,
aren't they?
They're every weekend. I think they've gone to this year in 2017. They've won at least one main event somewhere.
Nick Tucker's Nitro Kart program. Man, what a just like it's just got this tidal wave of momentum right now. So impressive.
Yeah, and exactly that momentum. The kids are working off each other. Nick's always in the trailer with all of them, not just one-on-one, but all of them. Like understanding, okay, this guy did this wrong. How do we learn from it? It's just that group mentality, that race team mentality. So they're all working together, and it's proving on the racetrack.
Yeah, well done. Cool.
So I'll have more about that in my From the Tower column coming up too.
Dave's got a column coming, so let's move on, Dave. June 23rd to 25th, actually just late last month, and obviously an interesting topic. You can go over the winners and kind of some of the things that happened throughout the weekend, but Rotax, after the issue with Max Speed essentially shutting down, and of course the Winter Tour transferring to Rock, what are we going to see from Rotax? Well, they just they still dig in and put on their U.S. Open race. They combine it with the Rotax Grand Nationals. And David, I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised they had decent numbers. Let's say good numbers. 110 drivers over the 7 categories. They make their first trip to New Jersey Motorsports Park. A lot of Rotax finals, Grand Finals tickets still awarded. 12 tickets in all. To be honest, probably a pretty solid event for Rotax, considering the kind of the uncertainty and the chaos they've dealt with over the last couple of months.
It was certainly a good not momentum, but a good boost for them. They had, a lot of the dignitaries come over from Austria. Helmut, I believe, was there, and a couple others. The inclusion of Canadian drivers to the event, being the U.S. Open type event plus the Grand National in one, I think helped with the numbers. And, of course, the engine program that they had there with the micro and minis getting the engine draws. So you didn't come there with your own, and it was an engine raffle. So I think that helped to boost the numbers as well too. The problem is you won't see that at every race. I think if they did that, they could grow a program. Unfortunately, it's not very economical to do that.
No, it's not. That's right. That is correct. What we see for winners?
Yeah, so we saw out of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry, I'm trying to count. I can't count right now. Wow. I write too much. 7 classes. Yes,
dude, you're a math major.
Out of them, 6 were from the U.S. So we saw one Canadian, David Greco, win the DD2. So he got the ticket there, going with Team Canada. Michael McCarthy was the top U.S. driver. The rest were all U.S. drivers. So we're going to see another strong U.S. team go over there with Luke Selican in senior.
Yeah.
Billy Cleveland in Masters. Ariel Castro and DD2 Masters. So those two will be in the DD2 category, DD2 Masters category. Tyler Gonzalez, who we just talked about, he won another big race, winning the Junior Max title there.
Yeah,
so
add to that resume.
That's another one to the CV. Josh Pearson from Rollison Performance Group got the Mini Max title, and then my Nitro Kart, Brent Cruz with the Micro Max title.
Yeah. Good stuff for Rotex, so to be able to get that program, get that race in the books, get it done. Challenge with a bit of rain as well, I believe, early. But no, all in all, a good weekend. And we'll be watching. There's even though the Rotex program in a bit of a flux here, state of uncertainty in the U.S. and again in Canada as well, as we're, the new news that the guys up at Goodwood Cartway will be the new rock importers, the Vortex importers for Rock Cup, at least the Rock Cup program managers up in Canada. A lot of uncertainty for Rotex, but still, there will be both a Canadian and a U.S. team heading to the grand finals this year. Dave, let's go from coast to coast. We're going to go from New Jersey all the way over to Santa Maria, California. The IKF had their Grand Nationals, brought both 2-cycle and 4-cycle together. That was right over the July 1st holiday weekend. First time, as I said, they put the 2-cycle and 4-cycle together. Not surprising, that event's kind of... each event has been very lackluster for the last couple of years. They bring everyone together, over 150 entries. They did the weekend before the California Pro Kart Challenge for Scusa was to the event, so some good practice for those guys as well. Dave, you and I have talked about, and you've mentioned it many times, the Duffy Trophy, not what it used to be, but still a pretty solid Grand National for IKF, being able to get a really good group of drivers to go and play.
Yeah, I think that's something to build on as well, too, for them. 150 entries, it's a better number than trying to split them up, because it obviously would not have been a very successful event if you had just 2-cycle and 4-cycle going at separate events, separate times. So it's something to build on. The problem, I think, really on the West Coast is that there's just so much racing going on right now, especially in California. You don't see... you're even getting more and more racing going on in the Pacific Northwest with a lot of the club drivers just focusing on clubs and the different regional programs that are up there as well too. So it just boils down to time, and there's just not a lot of time to make everybody go to every event.
Yeah, you said it straight up. Back in the day, you raced club, and there was one region surrounding 6, 7, 8, 9 clubs, and the clubs raced on a certain day, and the regional raced on a certain weekend every month, and you had time to do other stuff. But, you look at California, there's the SCUSA California Pro Kart Challenge, LAKC, Tri-C's got great numbers now, obviously using the LO206 to rebuild. Northern California's got the Sanzuru Challenge series at Sonoma. You got the KPX program, all the clubs up there. It's just so much racing. It's crazy.
Yeah, so it's something they can build on. They can try and make this come back to be an event everybody wants to go to. The problem is you got to get it in the right time of the year, and you got to get it to a place where everybody wants to go. So I don't have the magic equation to make this a perfect event. I don't know what's going to do it. Or who the right people are to get everybody on board. I mean, if you get some of the KPX people to go over and do that race, you could talk about maybe over 200 entries then, if you get half of those guys just even going there. So, just a lot of different things. It always takes the right people and the right type of motivation to get things going in the positive direction. But Roger Miller, we've known him a very long time with EKN. Yeah. He's motivated to help bring this back to what it used to be.
Couple award winners as well. Of course, every Grand National, the IKF rewarding the Lake Speed Award and the Engine Builder Award. Fill everybody in on who got the honor this year.
Yeah, the Lake Speed Award, it goes out to a person or people who show sportsmanship, dedication, love of the sport, and that went to the Ron Perry and his family. They were a big help in putting on the event. So IKF awarded them, and then Jesus Vasquez of P1 Engines took home the Engine Builder Award for the event.
Staying right at Santa Maria, just a week later, as we had said earlier, the SuperKarts USA California Pro Kart Challenge hitting back at that track, Tri-Tip Country. David, I kind of follow a little bit on Race Monitor. Obviously, wasn't able to be there, but watching some of the races and talk about a couple of major league first victories in the headline categories. Matthias Podbo winning in the S1 class. There's a stacked group of S1 drivers in the California Pro Kart Challenge, and Dante Yu winning X30 Senior. That's two big wins for those young drivers.
Yeah, winning the California Pro Kart Challenge is a big move for any driver. I mean, we've seen Billy Musgrave use it to become a regular S1 contender at the Pro Tour.
Agreed.
Winning there, we've seen a lot of the tag senior and tag junior drivers who do well regionally build up and help. It builds their confidence when they go Pro Tour racing. So for
such a high level competition, that's what it is.
It is. That's what you get with the California Pro Kart Challenge, and with Matthias able to beat Billy Musgrave and Ron White was there, and a couple other guys that are Pro Tour regulars, Hunter Piggott. That was a big win for him because he's been a series regular for a long time.
Yep.
And just kept working, and finally all the pieces came together for him, right? And then Dante Yu, we've seen him go overseas now racing okay stuff with Comp Kart, trying to obviously make a name for himself, and winning at the California Pro Kart Challenge will definitely help him there. Because we just quite haven't seen him do it at the Pro Tour level, and maybe this helps boost him for Summer Nats. So maybe we'll see his name in the top 10 up there.
I would think top 10's a pretty given. If he's able to work his way to the top of the podium, we'll see. But you're right. To have that confidence boost, again, it's been running in Europe, which is puts you in even super tough competition. You come back home, battle it out. Good run for Dante Yu. Funny thing, I was actually at the IndyCar race, and Brian Robson and I were talking. Brian, a longtime mechanic and wrench for John Crow, and we were talking about how good Crow has been in the S4 Supermasters class in Pro Kart Challenge. This guy's rolling right now. The Crow show is unbelievable right now.
I think he's found his niche in shifter kart racing.
I think so too.
I mean, we've always seen him as a Masters driver, but always Rotax or tag. I mean, he's a Super Nationals winner, so you can't deny him that. He's won at the Challenge in the Americas that we've seen over and over again. The guy knows how to drive. He just loves to drive anything, and that's what you love to see about racers. They'll get in anything. Yeah. I mean, he races at the LAKC events. He races 206, his S4 kart, and then his X175 kart. So he actually won all three classes this past Sunday. In all three disciplines. So
awesome.
He'll just get in and drive. So that's what's great about it. And the win streak he's got going there and at the California Pro Kart Challenge is pretty solid.
What else we got winner wise?
Trey Brown, Carson Morgan, Logan Toke. They continue their winning at the series. So there's a lot of names that we're seeing winning there that I wouldn't be surprised to see winning at the Summer Nats coming up here at Newcastle. But
lots of momentum, right?
It also, the weekend also marked the first time that they brought in the pushback bumper, which didn't hear a lot of feedback from it. But talking with Tom, it was kind of 50-50. You had the guys who didn't get penalized say, "Oh, I love this thing," and then you got the guys who got penalized say, "This is the worst thing ever."
Oh, man. You know what? You got to take the good with the bad, David. We know that. We know that it's going to happen. Guys that, and you know what? The guys that got penalized because they hammered somebody and it pushed back, well, you know what? They're going to be a little more careful next time. Now, if it wasn't their fault, that's an issue, obviously. We have to look at that. We'll see how things evolve. But bottom line was Superkarts USA has kind of answered the call as the guys at USPKS did earlier. Can-Am's had it as well. People are asking for something to change the racecraft, to clean it up a little bit, especially the starts. And it's good to see SCUSA finally at least bring that into a couple of categories to evaluate it. One more event, David, in our racing recap section of this particular edition of the EKN Debrief podcast. Again, Rob Howden with you, along with the managing editor of eCardyNews.com, David Cole. And it's a big one. David, you and I would have both liked to have been able to go to the event. We weren't. Both had prior commitments. Hopefully going to be able to go back next year, but if the date stays the same as it's going to be this year, I'll probably locked and loaded at Iowa Speedway again with IndyCar and the Mazda Road to Indy. But the battle at the Brickyard, karting, inside the walls of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the pagoda as the backdrop. Really, I don't think we can oversell how cool this is and what kind of a monumental step it is moving forward with karting to have not only be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, David, but you get the track president, Doug Bowles, out there driving on the track on a Margay Ignite with Chase Elliott there all weekend, having the president actually there embracing the event. This is going to be such an amazing thing for the sport.
It is. It really is. I mean, it could grow into being one of the key events we have every year. Right now we have obviously the Super Nationals in Las Vegas. And the East Coast, it's always Daytona Kart Week. I mean, even road racing, sprint, dirt, everything all at one event.
Yeah, one venue.
This being at the Brickyard really has the potential to be one of those style events, especially being in the middle of the summer. School's out, people want to take vacations. There's no reason for some people in California to get together, make the trek out to the Brickyard. I mean, how many times are you going to say that? We're going to go race karts at the Brickyard.
The greatest thing is, and if you're a racer, Dave, just to throw this out there, if you want to come out and have a racing holiday, you come to the Speedway. You've got the museum. You've got the tours. Heck, you play golf on Brickyard Crossing. Any weekday within an hour of Indianapolis, you're going to go see a sprint car race or a midget race somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much to do if you're a race fan to be able to come to that area.
Well, yeah, it was awesome midget week. I mean, you could have stayed the week after and gone all and followed all the different races. I mean, that's the one thing I love about Indianapolis is its love for motorsports. I mean, you can go there anytime there's an event in Indianapolis. It's very well attended.
One of the things you and I have talked about, of course, we weren't able to be there, but following on social media, is unbelievably excited. People were just thrilled. Great entries, almost 300 entries, I believe, in 16 classes. The Briggs LO206, the 206 program, I think everybody knows what it's done for the sport and how it's kind of rebuilt the grassroots level. And really, this was kind of an event, David, that was more of a grassrootsy kind of deal. There were some big teams there, but it wasn't major league roll the haulers in Super National, spend cajillions of dollars. It was, here's my 12-foot trailer, I'm going to pull it out, put my easy up, and I'm going to race at the Speedway. Lots of great Briggs action. Margay had the Ignite program with 46 go-karts in the Spec Ignite class. Really, the bottom line was this was a massive club-style event for the purists of our sport.
That's exactly it. And again, just racing at the Brickyard. People didn't care what they had. Oh, I gotta put a Briggs on. All right, let's go. I gotta put a Yamaha on. Let go. I gotta put an 80 shifter on. I'll go race 80 shifter. I don't care. I just want to race at the Brickyard. So I think that was a lot of people's mentality to get there this year. I mean, because you didn't know. Hey, there was no idea that they were going to do this again. Yeah. But
right?
This could be the one and done. We still don't know. I mean, nothing's been confirmed for the future events, but with as you talked about, just the president, Doug Bowles, and just the feeling we've gotten talking with a lot of people is that this could be something that happens annually.
And we will give the debrief listeners, those you listening in, stay with us, because after we wrap up what happened at the Battle of the Brickyard, we're going to run an interview that David and I did earlier today with USAC Karting's Mike Burrell. A lot of great insight from Mike, kind of the input of what he believed, how the weekend kind of played out for him, how thrilled he was. But some really good insight, David, when we talked to Mike.
Oh, of course. But to look back at it, some of the winners that we saw, Eric Jones, we talked about the Kart Sport North America team. They were there. He got back behind the wheel, and he's no slouch. We've seen him win. We've seen him win at the Rotex Grand Nationals. We've seen him win at Rock Island Grand Prix. So he can win it all. And he jumped into a Briggs kart and actually tried to win all three, medium, heavy, and masters, but could only get it done in medium and heavy. But Ryan Cassidy beat him out in the masters class.
Yeah,
which
another veteran.
Another veteran, yeah. Which was the first race of the day, the Briggs Masters. So that was pretty cool to see them be the first class out, and it was a photo finish too.
Yeah.
So great to see that.
Some big names there, though, to win races. Brandon Jarsakrak, Dakota Pesek, as you said, winning races. And some of the young kids, right? Spike Colbecker, Caden Wharf, Macon Moore. Some of the kids you expect to win races drivers were there and challenged as well.
Yeah, and then some of the shifter classes, a lot of the guys that we see at Rock Island, Alex Conlon, he won in KZ. Devin Smith Harden, 80 shifter, he won there. Weston Moon, Yamaha racer, he won there. So it was really cool to see that mix. Some of the pro drivers, some of your regional drivers, you guys you see at Rock Island, and then the club drivers, or even new people, and some of the people that Margay's been able to bring into the sport with the Ignite program.
Yeah, let's talk about two kind of cool events. Number one, Honda Masters shifter. Stephen Flatt. Here's a guy who absolutely loves racing. When we see him at all the big events, this guy just loves to get out there and drive. He and his wife love being at the track. This guy also loves the 500, loves the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and you can see it on social media. When he won, guy goes crazy, climbs the fence. The award, the trophy, David, The Rock has the rock. The Brickyard gave out bricks, and I just thought that it's a no-brainer, but whoever came up with the idea, nicely done. Steven puts the brick down, kisses the bricks after he wins. There's a guy that understands this isn't just a race. This isn't just a big race at Indy. This was a race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a guy that understands the history and the majesty. It's the racing capital of the world. It's the world's greatest race course, and he was able to win in a kart race there, and I think that's something that Steven's going to hold with him for a long time.
Oh, without a doubt. Well, all the winners there, I think, are going to they'll be able to look back 5-10 years and be like, I won at Indy, even if they don't go there again, or if they keep going there year after year. Just the fact that they won there. Even people who were able to race there. I mean, we saw a lot of photos on social media and just people just taking a selfie there and just saying, I'm racing inside the Brickyard. I mean, how cool is that? Just you can never imagine that starting out at the club track. Say, hey, what's this little thing that goes around the track real fast? Yeah. Just go from that. You go from that to racing at the Brickyard. It's pretty amazing.
Here's a couple of winners we didn't mention. Tag Masters, Glenn Critchett. In the Honda shifter category, Evan Batt. And in that 46 kart Ignite field, absolutely tremendous. The young lady who races out of Canada, kind of Margay's banner driver up in Canada, in Ontario, Charlotte Lalonde, able to come down and beat the Pistol Pete Vedder. Wow, what an unbelievable run. And, of course, one of the Margay Ignite stalwart drivers, Nick Todenhop, coming home in third. David, 46 drivers in Margay Ignite. A spec package, everybody in the same go-karts, the K3. That would have been absolutely tremendous to see, because when we're talking about the sport, we talk to some people here and there saying, "Oh, karting seems like it's down a little bit. It's not great here. This is not going that well." But then you look at a 46 kart field of guys all on that Margay Ignite program, and you can see how great that program's been. We're seeing it as well, of course, with one of the spec programs, the VLR over on the West Coast as well. Good numbers, but 46, come on, that's amazing.
Well, we saw it continuing to grow at Rock Island the last 2 years, and this was the next step. And I think you'll see a lot of the same people being at Rock Island this year. They're now splitting it up into senior and masters. So it just gives that, we've talked about it over again. It's the perfect opportunity to just go there, race, not worry about a thing, and then go home.
So, look, the Battle of the Brickyard was absolutely amazing. Were there issues? Of course. Was there rain? Yes. Were there some things that they're going to want to change for next year? Of course. First event. But again, to those of you who actually made the trek and were there and showed patience and some understanding for the trials and tribulations that you're going to have with a brand new race, kudos to you. I want to say that. And I'm sure on behalf of the organizers, they'll say the same thing. Obviously, USAC Karting jumping in, a lot of great people like Rick Folks and Jim Fry being part of the action, Dave Coates. Just a really great deal and a lot of passionate people behind it. And one of those is Mike Burrell from USAC Karting. Dave and I, as we said, caught up with him earlier today to talk about the Battle of the Brickyard. Mike Burrell, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us here on the EKN Debrief. First and foremost, before we even talk about the event itself, are you rested up yet? I can't imagine how much time and effort were put into the race beforehand, but like every go-kart racer does not know, there's normally 2, 3, or 4 days afterwards where you guys continue to keep working.
Right. First of all, thanks for having me, guys. But I just finished cleaning up and moving everything out of the speedway yesterday.
Wow. That's amazing. That's a
I did
full
take
week.
the weekend off.
Wow. Good for you.
But,
Good for you.
Yeah, we had tons of stuff to move out of there, and then they had an event Monday morning where we had to have everything off the road course by 7 a.m. Monday morning. So we had it all out in the field and had a bunch of rain, and so it made for a fun week of cleaning up too.
Well, let's talk about the fun first. Just start basic deal. What was it like putting on a karting event at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
It was a dream come true. I grew up in Speedway, and there are a bunch of us that race karts around here. Mike Oddie, that's with Margay, him and I and Steve Sheaver, we all grew up dreaming about running an Indy and never thought it'd be possible. We raced a local club race on Main Street Speedway down the street years ago, and we thought, well, that's about as close as we'll ever get. So actually having Tony George Jr. and Doug Bowles support us and allow us to put on a race there was just, amazing dream come true. And I think it was dream come true for a lot of the racers too.
I was going to say that, Mike. You obviously talking about living in Speedway and in the shadow of the pagoda, the shadow of the track. You had that feeling, but the great, social media obviously was massive surrounding this event. The minute people started rolling in and down 16th or down Georgetown, you know what I mean? It went crazy. Like, you obviously wanted to be there, but how many, like the photos we saw of being inside the track, with the pagoda, social media really made it look, and I'm sure it was based on what we've talked, that it was an absolutely massive success in terms of the racers enjoying themselves.
I think it was. We kept the atmosphere fun. Randy Kugler, who did the announcing, him and I were talking about the other day, and he said it was the biggest club race in the country. And that atmosphere of no points, no money, no pressure, just let's go have fun at a awesome event, awesome location, kept the fun in it and made people just enjoy it. People were just all over the track, literally taking pictures and climbing on the fences, getting their picture taken like they were Elio, and just a lot of people just they had fun with the event, and that's the atmosphere we hope to keep at it in the future.
Yeah, David Cole, you and I have talked that we've heard a lot of comments from guys that it was mostly Joe Carter. Joe Carter's there. It was kind of cool.
Well, that's what it seemed to be. It's like you just said. It seemed like to be one of the biggest club races in the country, and so that basically means Joe Carter. It wasn't the big tents. It wasn't the big teams. It wasn't the high-profile drivers that you typically see at some of the national events. So what? I mean, kind of looking back at the event, what would you kind of grade yourself in the event itself? Looking back now at it, after you've had a couple of days to kind of digest everything.
I think we put together a good, strong B+ team and or effort event. There's always things, looking back we could do better, and some changes we want to make. And I'm probably being hard on myself more than anybody because Rick Folks, Jim Fry, and all that group did an amazing job showing up on, basically coming in town on Thursday and, taking the mess I had and making it happen. And but yeah, there's a lot of things we learned from it, and we'll do better next year. And just little things like the start finish line was kind of hard to see from the pits, just because of where the timing loop was already in the track, and you just don't go in and tell the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, "Hey, I'm going to cut your track in half and put in a timing loop here." And it's like, now here's your choices of loops. There's two out there. Figure out which one you want to be your start finish line. It's like, all right. But we're gonna work on access so people can get over there and see the finish line better, and just the flow in the pits and that. But yeah, the Joe Carter, just having the average guy there made it all that more special. I think the average length of the trailer was probably about 24 feet, which was awesome. People were out talking to each other. They weren't hiding in a tent all the time. And we had Margay, Top Kart, and Kart Sport North America. I mean, they were all there, had their things, but then they were still open. People were, still out talking to each other and interacting. And that was the biggest thing I noticed, was just people were having fun at it. It wasn't a high pressure event.
Well, with 50% of the entries that were at your event were in the Briggs classes, and that is basically our Operation Grassroots program that we have here in North America. Is that what you intended it to be when you announced this event, to be Joe Carter there and all these Briggs guys, and even Yamaha guys will come, but I think that's what it's kind of been focused around. And it's kind of like a Rock Island Grand Prix, but at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Absolutely. Tony George Jr., him and I have been plotting this for about 5 or 6 years now at least, and it took that long to get everybody at IMS on board, and it took some changing of the guard. When Doug Bowles got in there, that really, as president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, that really helped move things forward and open the doors. But Tony said from day one, he goes, this has to be accessible to everybody. He goes, we don't want just, the 1% or the top 10% or whatever. He goes, we want it to be something that everybody that's a fan, everybody that's ever dreamed of running here at Indy can be a part of. And that's kind of the way we set up the class structure. Real heavy Briggs, real heavy Yamaha, which is still huge here in the Midwest. You can go around to Newcastle or the SIRA Street Racing Club and, still see 50 Yamahas a day, or more. So we kind of set up the class structure that way.
Well, also not just for the racers, but for people in the Indianapolis area, we're able to come and watch for free. That's something you don't ever see at a kart track.
Yeah, we kind of got caught off guard in a good way with that. I swear they could fly race paper airplanes over there and people would show up. Channel 13, the local NBC affiliate, was out and did a thing on the race on Friday, I think. And then Saturday and Sunday, we had spectators. I mean, probably 500 to 700 spectators that had nothing to do with the kart race. They just came because they heard something was going on in Indy. And the way USAC set up their insurance allowed people to go in the paddock and then in spectator areas and not just in the hot grid without buying a pit pass and everything. So, it allowed more access to it, and people were coming out and they were roaming around. They were talking to the karters, and they were bringing their kit. Sorry, stupid dog. And they were bringing their kids out and learning how to get into karting. So, allowing them out in the pits was definitely a good thing.
Tremendous opportunity for sure. Talking social media earlier, and you talk about wanting to make it accessible to everybody and not just the guys that maybe have the ability to run a big national race kind of thing. Some of the stuff I saw on social media, Mike, and I know you can talk about it. I actually spoke with Doug Bowles in Toronto during the Toronto Indy about it. Was one of the ones I loved was the emotion and the kind of excitement shown by Steve Flatt, who won in one of the 125 shifter categories. Steve was over the moon. This guy's a major IndyCar fan, major 500 fan, but I saw that when I went, wow. If there's one thing I see on social media, and it was Steven's deal, that was it. You gave this guy, a master shifter kart driver, a dream of being able to win at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Absolutely. Somebody was telling me about Steve. I didn't know all of Steve's story the other day. I guess he's a cancer survivor and everything. And one of his friends was talking to me yesterday and said this probably ranks up there with him as big as beating cancer. He had a special helmet painted. He climbed the fence after he won because he's an LAO fan, and he was just hugging everybody, and you couldn't wipe the smile off that guy's face.
Well, he also got LAO to, I believe, give the engagement ring to his wife Lynette.
Awesome.
at the Speedway. It's on YouTube, I think, somewhere. It's just. But that's, for me, that was the opportunity. You know what I mean? There's lots of places we go to, whether it's the Rock Island Grand Prix, when you guys go back to Elkhart, or whether we're at the SCUSA Super Nationals in Las Vegas. Some of these, amazing venues that we get to go to and bring karting to. In the 20 years I've been doing this has got to be the biggest venue that karting's ever been able to be portrayed at, run at. Don't you think?
Oh, I'd agree. I mean, like I said, 20 years ago when we were all getting into this, we had a better chance of probably racing on the moon than we did at Indy.
That's right.
Just the way Doug has changed the culture over there, Doug Bowles and Tony Jr., it just made it possible. And, I mean, never ever would have thought in my wildest dreams we'd be able to have a race there. And and it looks like it's going to be an annual thing. They were happy with it. I mean, Doug was out there with his kids, and they were out there running carts after hours.
Doug told me he's going to probably have to buy a cart now for his son after this deal, which I thought was fantastic. Hey, listen, you mentioned Rick Fulks. You mentioned Jim Fry. Obviously, a lot of veteran carters weren't actually racing. They were on the other side of the fence. They were working corners. They were in tech. They were obviously race directing, calling the action as well. One of them that stood out to David and I, of course, on social media, we weren't able to be there, but on social media was Jason Burgess, your flagman in the suit and the tie, old school. That had to bring a little bit of a flair to the event as well. I thought that was really classy.
It did. Jason's awesome. Jason spots for Alexander Rossi at Indy, and he's been around karting forever. Lives here in Speedway, and he wanted to dress like Pat Vidan, the Indy starter in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And he showed me a picture of that, and I was like, dude, that would bring a lot to this. And he did it. I mean, he did the full on, 90-degree day out there in a suit and tie, waving the flag.
It was so hot, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
I asked him what he was going to do for Elkhart, and we have a Kiss cover band playing up there, so he might dress like Gene Simmons or something.
So hold on. So Michael Crawford's going to be playing Elkhart?
Yeah, he is.
Yes, that's a Kiss cover band. I like it. Now that segues perfect. Obviously a major event, Mike, for USAC karting and just for karting in general in the Midwest. Do you feel like you guys have gained some momentum from this event that's going to carry forward to that next race, the Elkhart Grand Prix, when you guys go back to that Northern Indiana venue?
Oh, for sure. I mean, we kind of established ourselves as we're going to be legitimate. We can put on a karting race just like we can a sprint car or Pirelli World Challenge or Global Rallycross, all the other things USAC does. So, I think it helped legitimize us doing Indy. And, I mean, just having people like Rick and Jim and, all that crew there that gave us the foundation to put on a good show. And Elkhart's going to be way different than Indy. It's just, again, it's the focus is going to be on fun. It's an event. The kart race is almost like the reason to have a party up there. So
I like that.
Yeah, it's got great corporate sponsorship with all the RV manufacturers and everything up there. So
yep.
It's going to be good. We got some
couple great exciting events.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly. And that's we're just having fun. USAC isn't looking to take over the world of karting or anything, but if we can do some fun events and get karting in places like Indianapolis that hadn't been, and back into Elkhart. I mean, we took them a business plan for an event, not a race.
Yep.
And that was the key there. Showed them how they can bring tourism to their city. So,
I like it.
Yeah, we're having fun. So,
before you get to Elkhart for this year, we obviously want to already look ahead to 2018 at Indy. I myself want to race there. Rob wants to race there. Everybody, I think, now wants to race there. But
I want to be on the mic too.
Yeah, well,
I'll help Kugler.
You're going to have to fight Kugler for that. He's having a lot of fun.
I bet he was. I think we'd be a good tandem. I'd like to do that.
Absolutely.
But before, obviously, you're probably going to be thinking about this every day leading up till next year's event. But what are kind of the three major things that you would like to maybe change or up or adjust for 2018?
For Indy, we're going to improve registration. We're going to improve tech. And then just the total flow of the pits. I mean, it's kind of hard for you guys. You weren't there to see it, but they had a wall on the back of the pit, the pre-grid area, which kind of made it difficult to, kind of give us confined space to get in and out of. Tony Jr. already said, yeah, we'll move that wall next year. So, we're just going to work on the flow of everything. Registration, we got totally caught off guard. We had almost 60 people show up that had not pre-registered. So I was just like, wow, this is a pretty good walk-up crowd. And, we were just kind of caught off guard with, about 60 extra people, 60 extra entries and everything. And so yeah, we're just gonna increase our staff and make it a more user-friendly event for everybody. Everybody had great patience with us. I mean, I thought Thursday and Friday morning, I figured out they're going to pack up and leave. I'm going to have a mutiny on my hands here with not having all the answers for everything. But the Carters all had great patience. And, I said, well, we know what to do next year to make it even better.
All you really have to do is tell them to turn around and look at the racetrack and give us some time, right? Just
yeah.
You're at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Give us a little, cut some slack.
That was the greatest thing. Connor Daly's little brother's working with us, and Colin is just so chill. I mean, people would be like, "Where's tech? Where's pre-tech? Where's?" He goes, "I don't know, man. We'll figure it out. But look where you're at. You're at Indy, dude."
That's the line. That would be the perfect line.
It was, and he just kind of brought a calming effect to everybody, and I can't thank him enough.
Well, listen, here's one thing that I want to kind of bring up. This year, obviously, you mentioned it very briefly there, both with Indy and with, of course, the Elkhart Grand Prix. Is that you guys were kind of late to the game picking dates. There was some conflicts. This race obviously massive, and I got to think that most, if not all, organizations are going to do what they can not to be on the event because it is just so great for the sport. If you're able to work with clubs and series, some schedules get changed. You figure out what categories are rocking for you. Of course, Briggs looks really good. Do you reset your expectations because you got to believe you could put 400 plus at the event next year?
Yeah, I think I think we're gonna have to plan for at least 400 to 500 next year. I won't get it. I'll tell everybody right now. You don't get a choice of dates in Indianapolis. They tell you.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Honestly, they did mention, we don't have anything going on Labor Day weekend. I was like, no, that's Rock Island.
Yeah, well,
but
that's good.
Yeah,
that's crucial.
So you get what you're told there, and I will know. We're meeting with Tony, after Brickyard here, and I'll know what date we'll have for next year. Mid-August at the latest. So, we'll be able to announce that and everything, and it'll probably be the same weekend. Elkhart, unfortunately, Scoos is at Newcastle that weekend, and Commercial Point's the weekend before. Rock Island's 2 weeks after. And I've already told them, I was like, hey, let's get through this year, and maybe we need to look at June or something, before the big street races and some of the big it seems like late July, August, all the big national stuff comes out here in the Midwest. So
no doubt.
Yeah, we're willing to work with anybody.
So all in all, Mike, a pretty solid debut for the event at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I don't think karting could ask for much more based on what you guys were able to deliver.
I just appreciate everybody's cooperation and appreciate Doug and Tony allowing us the chance to come over there, and Rick and Jim for making it seem sane and organized.
like we always say, right? As long as the racers don't see the chaos, it's all behind the scenes. Everything's good.
Yeah, and I think it was 90% behind the scenes.
That's all right. That's all right. Mike, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast. And I'm sure our listeners are going to really enjoy getting some of the input from you here today.
Well, thanks for having us, and we'll hope to see them all at Elkhart and Indy next year.
Mike Burrell from USAC Karting, ladies and gentlemen, live here on the EKN Debrief podcast. David, Mike Burrell's been around a long time. He had that time at National Kart News, worked as a journalist in the sport. This guy has been a racer forever. He's been a spotter in IndyCar. Just a guy that absolutely loves the sport and kind of jumped at the opportunity to work with USAC and jumped at the opportunity to pull the trigger and actually put together this event at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Kudos to Mike for making that happen.
Yeah, we could tell talking with him. I mean, this was something they dreamed about doing.
Yeah.
Him and everybody he grew up with, and just having the ability to, thankfully through his contacts and what he's done with IndyCar and karting, he's been able to put the two together and put this event on. And it, like we've said already, it could be something that could be a Triple Crown event for years to come.
Amazing thing was, of course, that it was a major race, big race, but also we're able to use the hashtag Operation Grassroots on that race because there was so much 206 racing with the Briggs. A lot of great grassroots racers got a chance to run at IMS. David, into our Operation Grassroots segment of the debrief, couple of events to look at. The KPX Karting Championship, which really has exploded grassroots racing, LO206, fun, affordable racing in Northern California. They're going racing. They went racing June 23rd, 24th, 25th up at Reno. Awesome track at Desert Park Raceway. I love the corkscrew there. 107 drivers, 26 in senior and junior, 22 in masters. Man, this program in just a couple of years has really become something that's kind of a model for so many other regions around the country.
For sure, it's what we've talked about. Where clubs and tracks and drivers, they all get together and like, we need to do something together and have fun and help grow the sport, and that's what they've been able to do with this program. And adding in, with Briggs support, the engine platform and what they've been able to do to support the series itself. I mean, it's a great equation to help make something successful in regional karting. And
you got to figure if they keep working together, it's just going to keep growing.
Oh yeah, and we see it. We're starting to see it more and more here in the Midwest, and maybe we'll start to see it a little bit more in the Southeast, and maybe we'll see it more in the Southwest, say Texas area, or somewhere down in that area. But
yeah. We know what's happening in Canada too. It's rocking in Ontario. They're having big numbers all across the board. A huge event they're putting on up in Alberta as well, bringing a lot of numbers in, a lot of money into that program as well. All based on that 206 as being that foundation component. Yeah,
the power plant takes every mystery and voodoo away. The Briggs, you put it on the car, you race it, and it comes down to you and the chassis. How are you going to work together? And it just makes it a lot simpler, and that's what we need for that entry level package.
Yeah. The KPX Karting Championship back on track again. They'll come back down into more central NorCal, Davis, California. The Blue Max Kart Club, round number 4 on July the 30th. If you are within that region, put your 206 in the back of the truck, put it in the trailer, get out and support this program. The more people they have, the bigger it's going to get. As we know, more racers bring more racers, bring more racers. Get out, have some fun. Operation Grassroots. That's what we're doing. David, you mentioned the Midwest, the 206 Cup. Not quite the numbers. They split into two series this year. Not quite the numbers, but they're going to try to have that one big race, the Grand Championship, less than 90 days away. Give the debrief for the EKN listeners a little insight into the new 206 Cup Grand Championship.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what you see with the runoffs. It's going to be that one race, 3-day event where Briggs 206 racers can come together and have one big kind of championship, not necessarily a national championship, but we
don't want a national championship with this. No national championship.
It's not. It's this. Everybody, like Canada, guys can come down from Canada, guys can come from the West Coast, East Coast, anywhere, and just come out, have a good time, and do some racing. And there's no better place to do it than at Newcastle Motorsports Park. So that's where they're going to do at the end of September and get together. They got Vega Tires coming on as a presenting sponsor, going to provide some discounted price for event tires. Because we know the Vega tire has been the spec tire for the 206 program all year long. Yep. There's other prizes that are going to be in the works, but we're talking, probably $2,000, $4,000 worth of prizes that are going to be handed out throughout the weekend.
Wow, that's big. That's big. So again, as David said, September 29 to October 1st, 3-day event at Newcastle Motorsports Park, the 206 Grand Championship. Less than 90 days away, and of course, loving that idea. But David, as we always talk about, now here's the disclaimer. Here's the op-ed. You and I have talked about it. When you're living on a program that has an affordable motor and low cost, there's no sense having a national championship race where somebody's got to spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 to drive, fly, hotels, and whatever for 4 or 5 days. It's just counterproductive to the 206 program. That's my opinion. I really believe this engine needs to say club and regional. If it goes national, if there's a big national event, that's what's going to hurt the program overall. That's my opinion, at least.
Yeah, we've said that over and over again, but does anybody listen to us? No.
Hopefully they listen to the podcast, and maybe David, If we reach one person. If we reach one person, David, one.
Well, maybe now that we're on iTunes, maybe people are going to listen now.
You know what? We'll wrap up with that. I believe that was at the top of the show, and I think I blew right past it. You were going to talk. I blew right past it. Wow. Well, you know what? We're not done yet, Cole.
It was a great way to get it in there, though.
It was, but you're going to come back and talk more about it at the end, all right? Okay. Prepare yourself. I'm going to give yourself a heads up. Prepare yourself.
I'm prepared.
That's it for Operation Grassroots. Next up, if you got a cart, time to go racing. This is the racing calendar, presented this week by PKT, Precision Karting Technologies. July 21st, 22nd, 23rd. I know my weekend starts tomorrow morning at about 4:30 when I get up to get to the airport. I am heading for the first time ever to Greg Moore Raceway in Chilliwack, British Columbia. Round number 2 of the Can-Am Karting Challenge. Excited to get out there with Mike Rollison and his crew. We're going to do live play-by-play. It's going to be an EKN Trackside Live weekend. Full live play-by-play. We'll have our social media updates as we always do. I'll be writing race reports every night, so we're going to give some really good coverage as we did the first race out at Tri-Cities in May. But yeah, we're excited to head out there. I can't wait to get out there. That's this coming weekend. Lots of racing going on, though, David. WK, National Road Race Series, VIR. Gear Up F Series, rocking and rolling. That just absolutely badass shifter and KZ field that they've got at the F Series and all the other programs at Pittsburgh International Race Complex. 206 Cup, David and I just talked about. The Mid-State Kart Club. That's the South Series, right, Dave? Am I correct?
That would be the Central Series.
Central Series.
Central.
And Rock Cup in Orlando, the Epcot Challenge, all this weekend. Weekend after that, July 28th, 29th, 30th. David, your turn to talk about EKN Trackside.
Yeah, heading back to Newcastle Motorsports Park. The United States Pro Kart Series will be hosting its third event of the season. It would be the Hoosier State. God, see, I can't even say it because I don't like Indiana.
I was just going to say, you go to Newcastle so many times, maybe I should buy a house.
Oh, no, Michigan, baby, Michigan. Anyway.
You are pure Michigan. David Cole, pure Michigan.
Hashtag pure Michigan.
Beautiful waters, golf courses, East Lansing Kart Track, Ravenna, pure Michigan.
We might not have the racetracks, but we have Grattan. Don't forget Grattan.
You have Grattan, and you have Berlin Raceway. And,
yeah. See, come on.
Yeah. Kalamazoo, too, right?
Kalamazoo, yeah. Oh, hey, Rowdy's going to be down there in August.
Oh, he is,
have
he?
to go down there. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay,
All right,
anyway.
so then, anyways.
Hoosier Grand... Let me say it. Hoosier State Grand Prix.
There it is.
Next weekend, United States Pro Kart Series.
There you go.
Be there.
You buy the whole seat, you only use the edge. What else is going on? What else is going on July 28, 29, 30?
Yeah, the same weekend, WK's Gold Cup 4-cycle program is going to be up in Thompson Kart Raceway, in outside Cleveland area. So the 4-cycle racers are going to be back up that way. And then the KPX Karting Championship that we talked about in Northern California will be at Blue Max.
A couple of weekends there for you before we roll on into the hot summer months of August. This has been the EKN Racing Calendar presented by PKT. Precision Karting Technologies produces axles, hubs, sprocket carriers, and more. PKT products can be found nearly anywhere in the United States, along with Canada, Mexico, and Latin America. Nearly 60 dealers have been set up to stock the many PKT products that are manufactured for the karting industry. Development continues with every passing day as the PKT Group, its official drivers, and the many dealers work together to form new concepts and ideas for the growing product line. David, that's going to wrap things up. I'm going to kick out the thank you to the sponsors, then we're going to talk about iTunes. We do want to again thank Margay Racing for being our presenting sponsor. Obviously, go to check them out at www.margay.com. And Precision Karting Technologies can be found on the World Wide Web at pktaxles.com. So, you know what? Let's wrap it up. You know what? The podcast, taking little baby steps, now available on iTunes. You can subscribe, and boom, it's downloaded, and you're listening to it on the way to work. I like it. Nice work, Dave.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Yeah, that's nice. Was it hard to do that?
No.
Then why didn't you do it a long time ago?
Wow. It's called establishing a brand. Then we get it out there. Now we got plenty of episodes people can listen to. I mean, we're talking well over 6 hours of listening to me and you gab about karting. I mean,
I love it though. I like talking about karting.
We're gonna have at least a full day's worth by the time we're done with 2017, if not more. So I mean, listening to me and you talk for 24 hours straight, that's got to be amazing.
So it's very true. So the EKN Network, EKN Radio Network, coming soon to a ekartingnews.com near you. Hey, so I'm heading to Chilliwack, and
awesome
they've got
track.
my gear still. They got my helmet. They got my suit still from last time I was up there. I might try to get behind the wheel of a kart on Friday, and
206 it, baby.
You might too, right?
I'm trying. We're hopefully the weather cooperates. I'll be hitting the East Lansing kart track.
Yes,
which used to be an old Gold Cup track. Used to be an old.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Division 6 Sprint Series destination back in the day. I remember watching my dad, Bob Marty, Pearl Gamble, some of these crazy old guys that used to race the unlimited classes over there.
Yep.
But,
nice.
Like Sam Horns Jr., Ryan Hunter Ray, some of those guys that raced back in the day, 4-stroke stuff. They used to race up at East Lansing. So
they did. So you pull the old 206 powered Aluminos out and head over there.
Yep, that's the plan.
Okay.
We're going to go there Friday and then race on Sunday.
Make sure you tweet out to Chris Wheeler and the boys at Bell Helmets when you bolt on that new helmet.
Oh yeah, it's going to be looking fresh.
We got to get that thing painted pretty soon.
Yeah, or we stick with the carbon. We'll see.
Are you liking the carbon right now? Wow, good for you.
We'll see how it looks in the Michigan sun. I mean,
hopefully the weather will play for Cole.
That's what we're waiting on. We're waiting to see what the weather's going to do this weekend.
Lots of great stuff coming down the pipe. As David said, we are obviously working every weekend. I'm heading to Can-Am this weekend. David will be heading to USPKS the following weekend. We've got the finale from the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour coming up. Of course, all EKN Trackside Live. We got some more stuff we're going to be kind of playing with. We're going to get back to some video at the Summer Nationals as well. Just lots of great stuff happening here on ekartingnews.com and, of course, with our podcast program and the EKN Radio Network. Again, thrilled to have everybody tuning in. Hopefully you are rolling to work or working out or whatever you were doing, you enjoyed this 7th episode of the EKN Debrief. This has been a production of the EKN Radio Network. Your producer, David Cole, and the host, myself, Rob Howden. Thank you so much for joining us, folks. Lots more to come here in 2017.